2025 playoff best ball strategy for the boys. This is week 15 strategy. That's important to note because strategy will change week to week in this contest. I've had some friends that were asking about playoff best ball. They haven't done it before. It's definitely a unique format, and it's one that I think there's a definite edge, more so than any other best ball contest or maybe even any other fantasy football contest, because of how important each week is for drafting. So I'll give a basic rundown of the format. This is an underdog contest, so it's half point PPR. Every contest on here is half point PPR. In this contest, you get put with a random group of 6 people. You draft 10 rounds, so your team will have 10 players. It's best ball format, so they automatically put your players that you draft into your lineup based on who did the best. So you don't have to go in and set it beforehand. It'll do it for you. The starters will be counted off of 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receiver / tight ends. They lump them together in this contest, which is different from the normal underdog contest. And then 1 flex, so that flex could be running back, wide receiver, or tight end / any pass catcher. So we'll talk about the format of the contest. Now there's 3 different contests that are out right now. Well, there's more than that, but 3 that are like the main ones. The Gauntlet is the main one. It's $25 entry, 150 max entries, $500,000 up top, and they have different rounds that you have to advance through in a 500-seat final. Now, I'll explain these right here, the different rounds. The first round, you are drafting against 6 other people. Those 6 people will compete. Whoever has the best team in that first round will advance to the second round. Now, each one of these, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 5, 500-seat final, that's a different round of the NFL playoffs. So the 1 out of 6 is the wild card round. 1 out of 6, the second 1 out of 6 is the divisional round. 1 out of 5 is the conference championship, and then 500-seat final is just the Super Bowl. So you think about it, you are picking players that will be in the playoffs, but each round, some of your players will be getting eliminated unless you happen to pick the perfect Super Bowl teams, and they're not on bye the first week. So it's important to note the different structures for each contest. The Gauntlet is 1 out of 6 first round. So getting out of that first round is very important in that specific tournament. You don't want to be taking a full team of guys that are on bye because you won't advance. Your team's basically dead. The other contest that a lot of my friends will probably be drafting is the Mitten. It's a $5 entry, 150 max. So they have 50K up top, and then the last is the Little Mitten, which is $3 entry with 5,000 up top. Smaller contest though, 18,000 in this one. This one has 112,000 in the Mitten. So they'll be doing a bunch of the Little Mittens. This is only 10 max entries. 20 max entries. So yeah, they're going to be putting out more, but these are the ones that I think people will be playing the most. It's important to notice the difference though. In the Mitten, 2 out of 6 advance in the first round. So you don't have to have the best first round team. You just have to have a team that gets through. And then the second round, the divisional round, you'll have 1 out of 10 advance. The conference final, 1 out of 10 will advance. So all that's to say, you need teams that are very strong in these 2 rounds. So you need to have 4 teams that are playing in the conference finals for the most part on your team when you're selecting your guys. So that kind of leads to the strategy of how to win this tournament. It is important to note how top-heavy this tournament is. So $500K to first. If you max entered this contest, $25 entry fee, 150 entries, it'd be $3,750. And if you get a team to the finals, it's only paying $500. So you'd get like a 1/7, 1/8 of your total entries back just for getting a team to the finals. So getting a team to the finals is good, but you need to get a team to the finals that can still win. You don't want to just get there. With that being said, that means you have to have for the most part, 5 guys out of your draft that are still alive in the Super Bowl. So you have to paint a picture of what that Super Bowl is going to look like, and you have to draft your team according to that picture. So even then, it's important to have guys live in the conference finals. So you even want to think which guys on which teams do I think have a chance of being live in the conference final to get me to the Super Bowl and hopefully play in the Super Bowl. So in this contest, in the gauntlet, you want to have, I think, at least 7 or 8 live players in the first round. So you don't want to be picking too many guys that could potentially get a first round bye, or your team's just not going to have the firepower to advance. In the mitten, 2 out of 6 advance in the first round. So you probably want a team with more guys on bye. That way you can squeak through with like a less great team. Get to this point where you have the guys on bye coming into the tournament, and your team got through. You maybe have 10 players that are live, and then you ended up building teams that make sense. 2 NFC teams, 2 AFC teams, so you have the entire conference championship covered, and then hopefully 6, 7, doing the thing with my hand, 6, 7 of those guys are active in the Super Bowl. So that's kind of the way to think about it. You want to, when you're drafting your team, you want to think about the Super Bowl and then go backwards from there. You want to have 2 quarterbacks probably. Sometimes it's fine to get away with 1 as long as you know they're not going to be on bye. But probably 2 quarterbacks, 2 or 3 running backs, and then 4 or 5 wide receivers, depending on how you drafted the other positions. So, but you definitely want to have 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, or 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers that could play in the Super Bowl, along with a quarterback for one of those teams. So you have to think about that as you're drafting. Now, the gauntlet and even the mitten are unique because the ADPs for these players will be changing every single week. So this contest opened 2 days ago. It's already 1.8% filled, so it's filling at like 1 per day. The actual NFL playoffs won't start for another 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So you do the math on that, you would think it's like, 60% full by, the week before. And then that last week, it'll really start to fill up. That's important because right now, people have an image of what they think the playoffs are going to look like in their head. They think this team's going to make it, this team's not going to make it, so-and-so. So players are priced differently now than they will be in 2 or 3 weeks. And I'll show you why that's important. So right now, this is the rankings for playoff best ball. You see Puka number 1, Josh Allen, JSN, Devontae Adams. These are all guys that are locked into the playoffs, that are high scoring on teams where points are consolidated to a few people. The Eagles and Rams they like to use the same like 2 wide receivers and same 1 or 2 running backs. Blake Corum, that kind of thing. Jackson Smith-Njigba was the only playable guy on the Seahawks for the most part, and then I guess you can maybe throw Ken Walker in there. So these guys are all really expensive right here. It's important that you stick to ADP in the first round because you probably will need one or 2 of these guys, but you don't want to get married to them. They are already the most expensive that they're going to be. So I don't like building teams around these guys. So like I won't try and build a Rams team. They could still get the bye. I don't like building Denver teams. They could still get the bye, and they don't score a lot of points. So those are teams that I'm like kind of avoiding right now. But first, let's look at which teams I'm targeting. Now, the reason I'm targeting these teams is I think, 1, they're being drafted too low. They're underpriced, and they might get more expensive as the playoff picture becomes a little more clear. So let me go ahead and it's guys like first and foremost, it's my team that I'm targeting the most is the Texans, and this is true right now, but it may change in the next week or so. Nico Collins is getting drafted ADP 35. Now they update these ADPs every day. So Nico Collins yesterday was going somewhere around here. People are not too excited to draft Texans pieces because of how good the defense is, how low scoring the games are. But Nico Collins still produces even with that game script. And as you can see, the Texans, 22%. This is a site that's giving implied odds based on probably just money line projections for which matchups teams are going to have. So the Texans, they could still get the 2 seed and play 2 home games. They will probably play a road game against a bad team, or even then, they still could win that first game. Their defense is really good. They've been one of the hotter teams in the NFL. So I'm targeting them, expecting them to play 2 games. Their pieces are really cheap. Nico Collins, 35 ADP, and Woody Marks. Let's just go ahead and Woody Marks going 50 ADP. So you're only drafting. There's only 60 people getting drafted, and Woody Marks is one of the last ones. Even though he's going to get most of the touches on that team in close games where game script is in his favor. So taking Houston pieces, I've been taking a lot of Jaden Higgins, who could also score a touchdown at any point. You can squint and see the Texans making the Super Bowl. They have 11% chance to get there, according to this site with implied odds. But even beyond that, there's plenty of teams that are in a very flat area right here that are not getting drafted very, very high, who have that good of chance to get there. So the entire Eagles team goes in the first 4 rounds, and they have about the same odds as the 49ers, the Texans, even worse odds than the Packers, but they all go way later. And to be honest, the Eagles haven't looked like they are scoring very well. So you can get some Eagles pieces to fall right now. They won't fall too much just because of how consolidated their picks are, or how consolidated their scoring is to the same guys. If they play well, you know who's going to get the points. So they won't fall too much, but right now they do tend to fall a little bit in drafts. So Texans are a good one. The Lions are also one of my favorites. People don't really know for sure if they're going to make it. Right now this site has them at a coin flip. Let's see. Yeah, right here, 50% playoffs. If they win against the Rams, then they're very likely to get in. Even if they lose, they're a 40% chance. So all that's to say, if the Lions were to win, they would no longer be able to be drafted this cheap. They would all be getting drafted in the first 3 rounds of the draft. So right now, the highest drafted player is Gibbs, and you can get him 17.3 ADP. You can get him at the end of the 3rd, sometimes the 4th. Other players that are really cheap, Amon-Ra is going 30, which is crazy. If they make the playoffs, Amon-Ra and Gibbs will be going probably 2nd round. So that's one of the advantages of drafting this now. Sure, your Lions team could be dead if they lose, the 2 weeks. But if they happen to make it, you'll have a team. You will have built a team that is impossible the rest of the draft. So only 2% of the contest has been drafted, and you will have one of those 2% teams that got to pick the Lions when they were their cheapest. And that's just a small example of how the ADPs are going to change every week. So you got to kind of project what you think is going to happen to the players. Now, I did this contest last year. I saw the teams rise and fall in this, so I'm excited to pick the Lions for now. And if they get kicked out, then that's fine. I'll eat those losses. But I think there's a good enough chance that they're in. And you know how the Lions play. They could have a shootout at any given game. So if they happen to make it to the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure those were all high-scoring games, and you had to have the Lions players. So I'm gladly clicking them at their discounted price right now. The other team that I'm targeting is the Jags. The Jags are not going to, no matter what happens to them, they're locked into the playoffs. No matter what happens to the Jags, they're going to be playing in the playoffs, and they're not going to get more expensive than they are right now. So even if they do end up getting their first-round game at home, which is right now pretty close. It's like a coin flip. Let's see what they have. I don't think they address the odds of getting a home game. Yeah, they're just guaranteed to be in, and they are live to the 1 seed. So the Jags for sure are a team that I like clicking, knowing that they're a safe option to put across from a Lions team or across from a very stacked up Rams team or something like that. So um, their price is pretty stable. They're not going to get crazy expensive. Another team that I like is the 49ers. They're 9-4 right now. They're probably going to be a bye team, but they are a team that has shown recently they can go on the road and win, and they score with the best of them. And their picks are also very consolidated. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, maybe Jawan Jennings, but Brock Purdy's like a solid pick. But you can see that how low Kittle goes, 20.7. Jawan Jennings goes pretty late. He could come on strong too. Ricky Pearsall's barely even being drafted. This team is locked into the playoffs essentially. Here they are. 49ers odds to make it now 90%. If they win, slightly higher. They're still live to the 1 seed, so they could very much have a lot of shootout games and make a run in the playoffs. It's happened before in the NFC. Let's see. And right now they're priced very, very cheap. If they were to win in the next 2 weeks, they're going to skyrocket too, and they'll all go in the first 3 rounds, 4 rounds. So just another bet on a team that is locked in for sure. They're definitely going to be alive no matter what happens the next 4 weeks, but they have a chance to skyrocket in drafts and become impossible to make a team around them. So the last team is the Packers. They're not getting drafted very high. I know that's a tough team to pick because you have to get pretty much 4 wide receivers. But the Packers are guaranteed to be in the playoffs. They're live to the 1 seed. They're probably going to have home games. Even if they don't get the 1 seed, they'll probably be the 2 at the worst. They'll be getting games at Lambeau, and they'll be alive more than likely in the conference championship. You see here that odds to be in the conference championship game, second or best behind the teams that are probably competing for 1 seeds. So the Packers, definitely a great safe pick and going to be huge for advance rate if you can get a team built around them. Teams I'm fading, kind of talked about it. The Rams, they're not going to be more expensive than they are right now, so why pick them right now? You can take them as advancement pieces. You can take like a Puka or, Kyren, Devonta, but I'm only picking them 1 or 2 on a side, knowing that it's really hard to stack the entire team, and we'll know in 3 weeks if they have the 1 seed. If they do have the 1 seed, then you know how many you can take, because you can't take more than 5, because then you won't have a starting roster. Even then, I don't think you want more than 2 or 3 first round bye players, because you still have to advance that team through the first round. So I don't like taking Rams players. I don't like taking Broncos players. Broncos players don't even score that many points. In 3 of them might be on bye, so what's even the point? Eagles, I'm trying to fade, but they are really dropping in drafts, and you can get the entire offense in some drafts. I just did one a second ago and got the entire offense, every single piece that you'd want on the Eagles. So they don't look great now, but it's the Eagles. They could turn it around at any moment. Who knows? Another team I'm fading, you wouldn't pick the Seahawks. You can take JSN because he'll definitely be playing in 2 games. Same with the Eagles. They'll definitely be playing in 2 games, so you can take them as little pieces. But scary teams to stack. Another 2 teams I'm not really drafting a lot of right now is the Bucs and the Ravens. The Bucs playoff picture does not become more clear this week, so you can draft. They'll be just as cheap as they are now next week. And the Ravens, same kind of thing. Their playoff picture is not going to be clear for about 3 weeks because they have really tough games. They have really tough games coming up, so they're going to be cheap pretty much throughout the drafting process. I am picking them sometimes as an emergency if the draft gets weird and people start just taking random players. I'll show you a draft here in a second and show you kind of what that means. So the early round strategy for these drafts is just to take the ADPs. I'll go ahead and join one. Kind of give you an idea of what it's supposed to look like. All right, so you'll see you join draft. It puts you with 6 random people. me see. I'll show you one of my completed ones. Okay, here's one. This team, you can see, with this one went. This is the picture that I'm painting with this draft. I have Josh Allen, Drake May. So two AFC quarterbacks, which is, I mean, not ideal, but it's fine because you can only play one quarterback in the Super Bowl anyways. We have uh, a Detroit stack on this one. So we got Jameson Williams, Detroit, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs. So if Buffalo, Josh Allen, Ty Johnson, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, if they make it to the Super Bowl and Detroit makes it to the Super Bowl, then I have a very good team going to the Super Bowl. And if the Lions make the playoffs, this team will not be possible to be drafted in a couple weeks, even next week probably. So this is an example of a good team that tells a story of who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And in the event that Buffalo, maybe what if Buffalo has 3 great games and they end up losing, and then New England beats them, and New England is in the Super Bowl, then I still have a team that works with Kayshon Boutte and Drake May. So you might need Buffalo to advance to that point, but then my Buffalo team or my New England team takes over. Same thing if Detroit loses and somehow the Bucks make it, then if the Bucks make it, then I still have a full roster. Okay, I guess I'll do another one. Let's see. Okay, we'll show this one. This is a fun one. This is an Eagles stack where I got most of the Eagles pieces. This one's interesting because I got Puka with the first pick. Saquon goes ADP 7.3, but I got him at 12, so he fell all the way to the end of the first, the 2-3 turn. I took Saquon, and then turns out Jalen Hurts and Devonta were both available. Look at the ADP fall for Jalen, 24. I reached for Devonta, hoping that nobody would start picking Eagles players, and that worked out. I got Jalen Hurts to come all the way to pick 24. So this team is saying Eagles make it. I have quarterback, running back, 2 Eagles pass catchers. On the other side, I have potentially Houston, Jaden Higgins, Woody Marks that will make it. C.J. Stroud is there at quarterback too, if need be. Either that, or what if New England makes it? Then I have a New England team that fills out with the Philly as well. So I could have it played that way. Or on the other side, what if Houston makes it? Houston, C.J. Stroud, Woody Marks, Jaden Higgins, and then I have Puka and Blake Corum that make it on the other side. So that's just to show exactly like how it can go. Okay. All right. So first thing you do when you enter a draft is you look at who's in the room with you. So this is the people we're drafting with. It's important to note the badges by their name. So red badges mean that they do this. They draft a lot. They probably understand basic strategy in this format. They know that you're supposed to stack up 2 Super Bowl teams, but 4 AFC NFC teams, 2 from each side. Hopefully, they're stacking very consolidated. This guy goes Puka with the first, of course. Puka is the 101 pretty consistently. Okay, this guy skips Josh Allen, so we're gonna go ahead and take Josh Allen. I'm sticking with ADP in the first round. I don't have a conviction on any one of these players. I kind of take Christian McCaffrey more than Devontae, just because I know I'll be able to take Devontae in a few weeks if I want to. this in this contest, it's important to watch the draft board to see what people are picking because they are supposed to pick players on the same teams trying to make Super Bowl bets. So we're going Buffalo. Usually, yeah, on the turn somebody takes James Cook. That's fine. We're picking Josh Allen, not necessarily saying we're going to build a Buffalo team. You can do a lot of things with a Buffalo first pick. So this guy's saying he's going to be going Buffalo and Rams, but he's not going to get Kyren Williams. This guy goes Gibbs, so now we get to go for our Packers stack. It's nice to take Packers with our second pick because people tend to not step on your toes later in the draft with Packers if you just start taking all the pieces. So we're going to be building a Packers team here with a Josh Allen bring back on the other side almost for sure. Now look, this is bad. This is bad play right here. This guy picked JSN first and then Kyren with his second pick, knowing that both these guys are going to be competing for Rams players. So Sticky Kush, not a good player. This guy's taking his quarterback, and I guarantee you, if he knows what he's doing, he's gonna be done picking Rams players. All right, now we are going to take Shakir to pair with our Josh Allen. That guy went Drake May, so this is good. They're going to be competing for each other's players. Drake May, Travion Henderson, they're both going to be competing for players, and we can kind of just stay in our lane. Okay, this guy's going Kittle. Wastav Rose is building a San Francisco team with the Gibbs one-off, I assume. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just kind of peppering, taking guys that he knows. That should have almost for sure been Devonta or Jalen Hurts, but now he gives this guy the Jalen Hurts Devonta stack, so now he's competing with this guy for Philly players. He does come back with a Denver piece, so he's definitely going Denver. This guy is sticking to Detroit and San Francisco. We're going to take probably the most important piece for this team, and that's Dalton Kincaid. I would like to take Christian Watson, but I can't risk not having Kincaid here. Now, this is nice because I know both these teams are going to be playing in the first round, so I don't have to worry about buys. People like this guy, he's basically guaranteeing one of these guys is not playing in the first week because Seattle and the Rams are competing for a bye. New England's very live, probably the favorite to get the bye in the AFC. Let's see. Yeah, number one seed between the Broncos and Patriots, 42%. I actually think the Broncos have a way harder schedule, so I don't think they're going to hold on to it. I think it's going to be the Patriots. Apologies for the coughing. Okay, Rams, Seattle, New England. This guy's just peppering. He doesn't know what he's doing either. This guy slams the ETN out of nowhere. That's crazy. Beautiful for us, though. We get to pick Christian Watson as our teams are being pretty much uncontested right now. Nobody's taking our Buffalo pieces. Nobody's taking our Green Bay pieces. Detroit. Yeah, so this guy is heavy on Detroit, San Francisco. Decent bet to make, but your AFC team is just not there. I'm assuming he's going to try and build out. I don't know. This guy took ETN. I would have guessed he's going to go Jags, but maybe he's going to try and build out a Steelers team or something. He's got to do something on the AFC. Heavy Philly team, Rams, Buffalo. Okay, maybe this guy was going to do a Chargers team. Maybe not. He still can, I guess. Bucky, Tampa Bay, Philly, Denver, Tampa Bay. Okay. So, can take Love. We can start thinking about one-offs. Hunter Henry doesn't excite me too much. Troy Franklin would be fine. I'm going to go Jordan Love so nobody else does anything weird over here. And with these two, I might just be building the entire roster for both these teams. And hoping that that is the final, because I don't really think people are going to be taking Christian Watson this late. Christian Watson, ADP 24. I got him at 27, so a little drop. This is going to be a hard team to replicate. New England, Seattle. This guy's sticking to Rams. He's going to build a... Yep, he's going with the Houston on the other side. Okay, I would have entertained Henry there. We're going to take a Troy Franklin ADP fall here. Just as an advancement piece. You do need an occasional one-offs, especially on teams. This team very much could be replicated in the coming weeks. Green Bay might not get much more expensive. I don't think Buffalo will change either, so we do want to still have a slightly unique piece here and there. And I know Denver's going to be playing the next round. All my guys will be playing at least the first week, except maybe Troy Franklin. So if we get past the first round and he comes in the second round, that would be ideal. We're going to take our Jaden Reed here. And then we're going to queue up Ty Johnson. Booty, New England. So, okay, this guy actually built out a decent New England team. Problem is, if New England gets the bye, and the Rams or the Seahawks are definitely going to get a bye, this team might be dead already. This guy goes with Houston. Houston build with the Rams on the other side. Should be fine. He also is at risk of having a lot of guys on bye. Nice. I like the Jaden Higgins pick. ADP 43. Another guy that we could pick as a one-off on the other side. San Francisco will be playing that week. We have our AFC one-off. I think we might just take an NFC one-off too. Yeah, let's do it. I think we get Ty Johnson next round anyways. So now we've got our quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers. Quarterback, Ty Johnson will be our running back, 2 wide receivers. We have our AFC one-off, NFC one-off. What if Jawan Jennings catches 3 touchdowns one week and you don't have him and your team doesn't advance because of that? That's the way you got to think about it. And if somebody takes Ty Johnson, more power to you. This guy actually could. Oh, he went with all the wide receivers without Josh Allen. Bold strategy. So he's saying Buffalo is going to play against Philly. This guy, Tampa Bay, Big Tampa Bay bet. Don't hate it. This guy's saying, I know it's my pick, but I already have my player queued. This guy's saying somehow the Chiefs make it, so this guy's team is essentially dead. He's taking Hail Marys. We've got our team. Buffalo versus Green Bay. This guy built a Jacksonville team with New England, hoping that the Seahawks do not get the bye. Hoping that New England does not get the bye. Yeah, I guess it could work, but anyways, that's kind of basically the strategy for playoff best ball. You very much have to watch other teams and see what they're doing. It doesn't happen so cleanly all the time where you don't have anybody picking your teams, but it definitely you have to like pay attention to what they're drafting, who they might go for. People are still gonna pick random people, names that they know, who they think are gonna win, and then they'll have bad teams in the playoffs. That's why there's such an edge in this tournament. I'm gonna come out with a different video for mitten strategy, just because you do have to draft this one a little different, being that there's 1 out of 10 advancing in the second and third rounds. Those are the rounds where you need guys, and the first round you kind of want it to be not as good of a team. So you do want the guys on bye in the first week. That way they can get there in the second round, and you have more players available. So definitely going to be more like Seahawks builds in those, maybe more Broncos builds, as people don't really click them too much. But that's a strategy that I'll talk about another time. Hope this helps. Check you out later.